Hey everyone, it is Anjanette Lene, and today we have our special guest, Lowray The Producer. So I wanted to take some time to speak with her, to go over her career in music, and highlight her experiences as a woman in music, and especially as a woman producer. So without further ado, let's bring her on.
Hey.
Hey Lowray, thanks for joining us today. So I'll get the question started with something a little left field. If you could go back in time and talk to your 21-year-old self and give her advice about your music career, what would you tell her?
I would say, honestly, just keep going. Like, I know that kind of falls in line with what I said before, but I think, especially when I was first starting, I took a little bit when I was trying to get back into it. So I think just, can just being consistent, but also just keep going, like finding new ways to get inspired or finding new ways to maybe just kind of experimenting a little bit and just always trying new things.
Got you. So what is next for you? It is a new year, so new aspirations. So what would be the biggest thing?
I think a couple things. So sing places, I really want to get into sync and get into do my music in TV commercials. But I also want to revamp my YouTube channel and show my face more and do more either cookups or more just tutorial kind of stuff. I think I've watched a lot of tutorials of pretty good producers on YouTube, and honestly a lot of times when I do watch those videos, it's very inspiring. I have to learn something new, and I think I wouldn't call myself I don't think I'm qualified to be a professor of beats or anything like that, but at the same time I think that I can hopefully offer something new or something a little different to people who watch my stuff, and I think it would be fun to just kind of show a glimpse into my process and just how some of my beats are made.
Got it. And with that being said, is there any YouTuber that you watch aside from Curtis King that inspires you?
Yeah, so I don't know the official name. So I think on YouTube he goes by Jordan WTF or Prod by Holy, I think is another one of his name. And he makes a lot of he'll make primarily trap beats. I think he's also a part of Internet Money. But he makes just super cool trap beats and also really cool dark R&B beats as well. I just think the way, because when he makes videos you really see his process, because usually the way he'll have it set up is he'll have his you'll see his DAW and you'll see him making a beat kind of on the spot, and it's just so interesting to see how he puts sounds together, how he'll play with the pitch of different samples that he's working with, and how he'll arrange things his 808s and his patterns and stuff. And also this man literally almost got me or convinced me to purchase Analog Lab 5 or I don't know what it is, and I don't need to spend any more money on sounds and plugins and stuff, but I don't know, it's just something about it. I don't know if it's his particular sound selection. Honestly, he could be making them sounds himself and I can be setting myself up for failure, but just the way his sound selection is just really cool, and I feel whenever I watch his beats it definitely inspires me to make some new stuff.
There you go. Yeah, there are a ton of YouTubers that I learn from every day. And yeah, speaking of sounds and VSTs though, I do love that you brought that up. So if you could pick a top 3, which ones would you say they are?
Let's see, my top 3 VSTs. I think for me it would be, this is a hard one. I would say, I was about to go look at it and see what I have, but I think Contact is definitely up there. I also really although Contact is so broad, I'll be more Battery.
Okay.
Battery, I really like Battery for my drum, just because that's what I learned when I was in school. So I like using Battery. Honestly, I like using Alchemy, which is a native stock plugin in Logic Pro, and it just has so many cool electronic sounds and a lot of just cool and arpeggiators as well, which I really like. And then I think another one that I like there's this new, well, it's not new, but it's a plugin that I found recently called it's like Surge XT or something, and it's like completely free, and it has a bunch of like electronic type of synths and stuff, and I've been playing with that a little bit lately, and I like a lot of the poly synths that it has, so I would say those.
Awesome. We definitely need to plug you with some like sponsorships. You just name dropped all of those. You better go get a bag with them. So hopefully, you know, like you said, if you are doing YouTube, like I'm sure that's gonna pick up for you. So now to get into the nitty gritty type of questions. Like I said, you are a woman in music, you know? So I do want to ask you what your experience has been. I mean, it is a male-dominated industry, like many other ones. But how do you navigate your way through?
So I guess it kind of depends. I think as far as I think when I first started to gain some traction, it was mostly like during the pandemic. So I wasn't really going to a lot of like studio sessions and stuff. But there would be times where like some men would like hit me up for like custom beats or to work on projects. And like sometimes a lot of like, you know, weird energy per se, where it's just like you're talking about beats and he's talking about like trying to go on a date with you. It's just like that's not why we're here. Like, so I guess it kind of just depends. But you know, I definitely make it very clear, like, yo, bro, like if you're not gonna tell, you know, Drake that you're trying to go on a date with him, like don't play me. Just up and coming, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like it's not like that, you know, it's not like that. Don't play me. But on the flip side, I will say being a part of like a beat battle group, like and being the only woman on that like team, I think like they've just been super supportive and have literally referred to me as like their little sister. Like I've never had a brother before, so I'll be like, yeah, big bro, like thanks for like reposting on my beat or whatever. And I think that's the thing, they're like very like no nonsense. They're not like on like that like weirdo stuff. So I think it's such a breath of fresh air, which I hate to say. Like I hate that, you know, it's rare for you to have an experience where you're not like uncomfortable, especially if you're in like a big group of men. So I think I've just been very lucky to like have them in my corner and to be able to learn so much. So most of them are at least a little bit older than me, so they've had so much experience in the industry and also just like with like beat battles as well. So I've learned stuff as far as like how to make better battle beats and also just to like make better beats in general. Like I think they've really pushed me to kind of like, you know, step outside my comfort zone and just, you know, always try and elevate like the stuff I put out.
Gotcha. So with that being said, like, would you say that a lot of your interactions within the music industry were primarily virtual, or do you have like a go-to group that you like produce or make music with in person?
No, so for me, I definitely became more of a hermit during the pandemic. I would definitely say a lot of my interactions were virtual. There were a couple times recently where I would go to a couple studio sessions, or if like I was meeting up with my beat battle teammates, we would go to the studio and like connect and stuff like that. But for the most part, a lot of my stuff was when I had like a video that I posted. It was like a sample. It was like a little series I started called like "Ruining Your Mom's Favorite Songs." So like a older song, and I would like sample it. And I got a couple of people who like reached out to me from like that, and so I would end up, you know, going back and forth for like Instagram, talking about like projects with them. So for the most part, I would say it's definitely virtual.
I could feel that. But yeah, so talking about, you know, like sampling and like loops and such, I do see that that's like where your forte is. So can you tell us a little bit about how you chop samples? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you have fun creatively with these things?
Yeah, so for me, it kind of depends. I'll do it in a bunch of different ways. What I usually do is I'll use Serato sample and I'll insert like a song that I wanted to sample and I'll just kind of chop it up that way, which I feel like isn't one good for my CPU usage, but also it's just kind of it's kind of not ridiculous, but it's a little silly just because like the sample, it's almost like a tape, so like you can't like play it in the middle. So if I literally just press down the button and have the sample playing, like, and I have it playing back, if I want to play back in the middle of it, like it's not going to play back. because it's all like a one continuous loop, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I usually use sometimes, but one thing I have been using a little more with like playing with samples is like Shaperbox from like Cable Guys. So I don't even know how I found out about it. I think like 'cause a lot of people used to talk about like in FL they'll use like roast beat, and I was like, well, I don't have that, so let me get halftime. And I was like, oh, with halftime there are also all these other things like Shaperbox and Pan Shaper, all this other stuff. So I eventually got Shaperbox, and there's just so much that you can do with it. Like, it's unreal. So I think like that's what I've been using most recently to kind of like transform my samples and kind of step outside my comfort zone, outside the box a little bit.
Gotcha. And all puns intended with Shaperbox. But nah, I totally feel that Shaperbox is definitely a staple in my production as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the beats that you and I do have together. Just to talk about like how we even interacted was also through social media, found you through Instagram. And yeah, so the last beat that we just dropped has gotten, a lot of plays. We got some interesting comments going on. Yeah, so I mean, like, aside from me, like, is there any other women that you collaborate with on a usual basis, or how do you go about like expanding your network?
Yeah, so for me, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of bad at it. Like when I tell you like I've been a hermit, like I've definitely been a hermit. But at the same time, one thing at least I want to get more in the habit of is just like making my loop packs and then sending them out. Like I want to do that more frequently because I do want to collab with producers, and I have a list of at least like a few that I like collab with, including yourself. But I will say, and I hate to say this, I haven't collabed with like a whole lot of women. There have been some that I have worked with like more ad hoc or like on a one-time occasion, but I definitely do want to work with more, because that's the thing, like there are so many like dope female producers that I follow that are just like out of this world, man. So like please don't take the shade. Like I definitely want to work with more women producers. I think for me, just networking in general has kind of been like, it's definitely not my strong suit. Definitely something I'm trying to like, improve. But shout out to the women because y'all are killing it. I don't know if y'all know, but like you're killing it.
Awesome. So is there a way that, like you said, kind of reaching out and socializing may not be everybody's strong suit. So is there anything that would compel you or make it easier for you to collaborate with people? Are there any ways that you would want to feel like more seen within the industry?
I'm not sure, because I think I'm more of I do kind of like a behind the scenes role in this aspect. Like I'm definitely like I don't want any of the fame. Like I don't want, like, don't show my face if I don't have to kind of person.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think as far as like ways to kind of help with networking, I don't know. I think one thing that like us getting into that like being part of like Beatstars people, I think honestly Beatstars does a really good job of trying to like get different groups of people together. So I think whenever like certain people start those groups, and they're like, because there are some groups that people will start and it's just like everyone's spamming with like their links and stuff, and like that's not as helpful. But for the groups that are a little more engaging and say like, hey guys, like this is what's happening now, like here's the new pack if y'all want to collab, like I think those groups are pretty helpful and can definitely make a difference.
So you did just touch on Beatstars right now. So what has your experience been like?
I will say I really like the platform. I think it's definitely one of, if not the most popular, like beat selling platforms. And I think just the community that it's created throughout the years is very, very powerful. Like, if most artists who are just starting out and stuff, they're looking for beats and they're like serious about it, like they're gonna go to Beatstars more often than not. Like if they don't have like a producer that they're working with themselves, like they're gonna go to Beatstars and like check something out. And I think also, like if you like fill out all the metadata and do like all of that kind of stuff, like you can pop up in a lot of like searches for artists that are looking for like certain type beats and stuff like that. And there's also a lot of like like opportunities that Beatstars offers that are really nice to like get on like some of their playlists. And also like it's just easy to collaborate. Like, you know, if I want to reach out to a producer that I have been thinking about collaborating with, like, you know, I can message them and send them some loop pack or something, or I feel like, hey, DM me on Instagram and we can talk about like collaborating, and then, you know, I can add them to you know, a beat that I uploaded, and then, you know, the transaction for any sales is automatically split. So I think they just have a very good like system of just like a bunch of, you know, like song uploading as well as just like promotion for producers. And I think, you know, it's definitely helpful.
Gotcha. Awesome. So that honestly, we went through quite a bit there. So, you know, to kind of just wrap the interview up, what is the next phase for you?
I think for me, I take this from like mid-December to like now, basically. I think there was just a lot of like, I was having, you know, some just general, I don't know, I wouldn't call it like burnout necessarily, but I think there was just like, I just needed time to kind of like collect myself and also just kind of, you know, I guess clear my head, get through, you know, the funk that I was in. And so I think now that I'm starting to get back into making beats and, you know, refamiliarizing myself with my DAW and stuff like that, I think I want to be more intentional with like the music that I make. I think I want to evoke more feeling into the beats that I produce. And I think one thing that I don't want to kind of stick to a certain formula or to a certain like genre or type beat per se. Like I think that's why I want to kind of switch to doing like cook-ups and stuff like on YouTube, because I think I do have a little more freedom to just kind of post what I'm feeling and like kind of go through like what led me to making this kind of beat. And I think me focusing more so on the process and how I got to the finished product versus trying to, you know, stick to a template is going to be much more fulfilling. So I think that's my thing, is being more intentional with my beats. I know it's not like a quantitative goal, but I think that's something that is very big to me, is, you know, making, you know, very good quality beats, but also I want my beats to hit a little harder. Like I think I'm very big on like drums and making sure like my kick is ridiculous in the R&B track, like what, but at the same time, you know, like I want to hit a little harder. I want my sound to be a little crisper. I want to be a little clearer, and I want, you know, I want to make bangers. Like
hey,
all there really is to it.
There you go. And I do believe that, bro, you already make bangers, you know, so you don't even have to worry about that. Man, no, I appreciate you for sticking it out with me through this interview. This is going to be the first of many for you, I am so sure. So again, just remember, you are a shining star here. You are pioneering for other people just like us, you know? Like, we gotta represent for all the little ladies that are hoping to make music, you know? So, gotta keep these faces smiling. And again, thank you so much for logging on. And yeah, we'll tune back in and we shall end it here. Well, thank you all for viewing.
Appreciate you for having me.